everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about how new coronavirus strains will impact Udemy stock. Alright, welcome back. Of course, this video, I want to make sure that you like, subscribe. The more subscribers you get, the more content we can make. Number reason why you subscribe to this amazing YouTube channel is to get the money-making trends before you go mainstream. Alright, so there is a new coronavirus strain that has come out, and it's a little bit worrying. Now, of course, we're not going to really talk about that in particular, but what we are going to talk about is the effect that new strains and basically any kind of calamity will have on Udemy. Now, as you can see, Udemy had kind of an interesting little day here, and it's down a bit. Well, guess what? All the markets are down. If you take a look at some of, like, for example, this tracks somewhat of the VIX here, and if you don't know what the VIX is, it basically means volatility and uncertainty. So, as of this recording, the VIX is, well, pretty high, at least this particular one that tracks the VIX. But if you look at some of the stocks that I follow, a lot of them are in the red, right? And of course, I don't have position in all of these. I just kind of follow them. And one of the things, which is a whole other video, is that this particular stock here has a lot of short interest in it. And, because when shorts covered, they're kind of like a buy. So you could see some of these stocks, specifically some of these meme stocks. And I'm going to be going over whether or not Udemy is a meme stock buy in a different video. But essentially, if there's a lot of short interest, you could actually see them green, which, it's kind of weird, but that's just basically what it is. But nevertheless, in the last 5 days, 20% down. And if we go over to the month here, yeah, we basically have, almost 20% down from the top. And if we go to the IPO price, we're roughly 10% below what we normally, basically 10% below the IPO price. And then the open price, again, 5% below. Okay. So again, what we're going to talk about today is essentially what is really, is Udemy kind of a hedge against calamity? Kind of like how gold is. And one of the things about e-learning that I've learned over the years, and I've mentioned this in the last video, is that the worst thing for e-learning is a slowdown and not any kind of panic here. Because again, the reason why people go to Udemy or go onto e-learning is to upgrade their skills. And frankly, buying a course on Udemy or any of these other places is the best way to upgrade your skills. Like it really is, at least in the short term. You can, go through one of these courses and come out with quite a bit of skills to start freelancing right away within, a decent amount. And if you're a coder and need to, let's say, upgrade your skills to a new programming language or like a new framework, which is really popular that on Udemy, then yeah, that's something that you can do. And let's say you're a JavaScript programmer, but all of a sudden iOS is now big. You can buy an iOS course or an Android course or a Flutter course. Or if you want to get into machine learning, you can do that. You can basically just find a good way to upgrade your skills, get some projects out there, and get hired. And you can do this within 6 months if you're already a programmer. If you're not a programmer, it obviously will take a little bit longer. But nevertheless, getting your skills up there is something that's is definitely why Udemy works. Now, again, if the coronavirus is bad enough that governments start locking down again, then that's extremely bullish for e-learning, right? And last year when this whole pandemic thing started and the stock market was crashing, I literally had a meeting with my employees saying that I don't think we'll be in business by the end of the year. But what happened is obviously the central banks and governments supported business to an unprecedented degree. And I didn't expect that. If they hadn't done that, of course, it would have been a really bad recession, like a really terrible recession. But one of the things I learned in the Great Financial Crisis, because one of the best jobs I had between like 2008 and 2012 was teaching. I actually got a really good teaching job or potential teaching job at a private school, teaching game design, and it was, I thought it was awesome, but I didn't take it because I wanted to do my own thing. But nevertheless, the one thing I learned from that is that parents and people really do upskill in times of recessions, and all my friends at the time were definitely doing their masters or getting a second degree. And this was before coding boot camps, by the way. Like, coding boot camps didn't really make it until like well, like 2015, 2016 is really when they really started to not necessarily come out, but become really good as a good alternative. But there were some around, and I looked at the time. And again, the whole reason why I learned online was that I couldn't find the courses, right? And the only courses that I wanted to take were purchasable online. And the same thing kind of happens today. The same thing, if the economy isn't doing very well and people are out of a job, they will buy stuff. And even if it's a $10 or $20 course, they will. That's such a small amount, and the value. Like the other thing about Udemy is like for $10 or $20, the courses on Udemy are really good. And this is one thing I like to do personally is like, $10 to $50. That's a really good range to give someone a course and give everyone the tools that they need. That is a very reasonable amount. I think I spent $500 on e-learning before I really started to make it as a freelancer, right? And I think other people will do that too. And of course, $500, that was years and years ago, was probably closer to like an inflation adjusted, more like $1,200 today. So basically, I spent a lot of money doing this kind of stuff, and for $50 today, it's really, it's such a good deal. And I should mention that, today is technically Black Friday, and all the Black Friday deals in the world, won't save, a stock from complete plunging if the rest of the market is failing. Now, it's the other kind of cross current that you need to understand is that when it comes to the stock here, the stock market could be just plunging, right? If interest rates go up and, growth stocks like Udemy can't raise the capital or can't get what they need, right? It's going to go down. But again, the core product is good. The only thing, again, that I really wish they would do is make it scalable so it's more like Steam. And I'm going to be doing that Steam video. I'm actually preparing, that Steam versus Udemy video. I'm going to compare Steam versus not Steam versus the App Store, but Amazon versus Udemy, and then the App Store versus Udemy as well. And I'm going to be definitely covering that because it's really important to understand marketplace dynamics. Because again, the number one thing that makes Udemy great is the marketplace, not the personal subscription. But that is, again, a story for another time here. So just because it's crashing today, it doesn't really mean much. If you start to see lockdowns, though, it doesn't have to, when the United States locked down, I actually was shocked to see how much money came in through my doors. It was quite a bit of money, and I would expect the same thing to happen with Udemy. And it doesn't have to be the United States. Germany, if Germany locks down, you'll definitely see a boost in sales. Because the people that buy this stuff, right? The people that buy Udemy courses and all this, what they do is if you're a person who's career oriented, you're going to spend your time locked down learning things. You're not going to play video games all day. You might play video games for a few hours of the day, but you won't be doing it all day, every day. And that's what I think a lot of people did during lockdown. But you'll be spending a few hours learning, right? And, for career-oriented people, that's what you want to do. Because once you spend 2 hours a day, every day for a couple years, you will be so far ahead of everyone, right? You'll be miles ahead of the competition, right? And, it's really a factor of your intelligence, your hard work, and then what tools that you use, right? And that's the real key with e-learning. Sometimes, people wonder how I can learn things so quickly. And it's not because I'm a superhero. It's just because I know how to A, learn, and B, use the right tools. And of course, that's why I own an e-learning company, is because I show people the process here. And, we have meetings about this every day. I meet with my at least my team members every day. We have meetings weekly. That's another issue, meetings, right? I could talk about that on the channel here. But nevertheless, one of the things that you need to understand as an investor is that if lockdowns start to happen, again, then yes, it's probably going to go up. But once things slow down, then the stock will slow down too. Because again, the worst thing for e-learning is a slowdown, not necessarily any kind of collapse here, right? Because if you weren't around during the global financial crisis, it was pretty bad in some areas. And of course, what do you want to do? You want to upskill because it's competitive. Job markets are competitive here. Now, of course, we're in a kind of a weird situation where there's like where some people just don't want to work. But you know, is that really bearish for Udemy? It's a little bit bearish, which I could probably do a whole other video on. But nevertheless, I still think Udemy's core product is great. Their personal subscription is probably going to have short-term gains, but it runs the risk of someone making a marketplace that competes with them, and that's really not good for them because, well, it's just not good. Someone who has a lot more efficient business skills could, well, could basically make the stock not worthless, but worth a lot less than it is today. So I would see that's probably the biggest risk, because top talent will go to the place where they make the most amount of money. And I even see that in my company too. There are people that I wish I could hire, but I can't afford them, right? There are people that I wish I could hire that don't want to do this because they don't feel e-learning is a good career. And that's why I'm so, it's why it's a big problem with Udemy not being scalable. We want people to think that course and teaching online is a viable career. I mean, that's not quite the way it works right now, right? Like, if you would rather A, teach online, or B, make games for Steam, which one would you rather do, right? Well, you'd probably rather want to make games. It's a lot more fun than making courses. Courses are very dry and boring, and it's really, and this is what I say, it's really the dirty jobs of the tech world, right? Nobody wants to do it, and that's why I like doing it. It's one of the things I'm good at, which is why I talk about this day in and day out, and it's why I run an e-learning company at all, right? So let's take a look at this here. Let's see. Okay, so this isn't really crashing here, so we'll see what happens. And of course, today is kind of a it's a day that I believe the stock market isn't open all day today because it's American Thanksgiving here. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts about Udemy here. Don't worry about the short term. If things really do go down, e-learning and education is kind of a hedge against recessions. Because like even in the great financial crisis, that's what people spent their money on, right? You can go back to articles there, and I can tell you that as a person that was on the ground teaching in real life at the time, and like parents they would spend probably more money on their kids' education than in times of not need. And it's like they see everyone, it makes sense, right? They see that the economy is doing well. They want to give their kids the best future possible. And I see that every day, not every day, but I see that a lot with my company. Someone says, I bought this course for my kids. I want them to have a great life. Thank you for making this great course. I see that a lot at my company, all right? All right, so that concludes this video. Let me know your thoughts. Can e-learning withstand a global calamity? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.